You may have realized that being healthy feels different than it did in the past now that you're over 50. If you want to maximize your health potential but don't have time to read through overwhelming pages of Google links, this is the show for you. Welcome to Healthy Tips After 50. We love doing the research, finding solutions, talking to health experts, and learning what works and what doesn't. Now, your host. She spent the last 25 years dedicated to feeling her best and is here to share her best findings with you, Susan Rosen.
Hello, everyone. This is your host, Susan Rosen. And today, as usual, I have a very interesting guest who has a little bit of a different background and a different way that he's looking at life and medicine and what we should or shouldn't be doing with our bodies. So welcome, Anthony Beven. I hope did I say that correctly? I forgot to ask.
You did.
Okay.
So
good.
we don't have to make any corrections there. Start over.
Yeah, right.
I'm a certified nutritional detox specialist. So
Okay.
I take the focus of nutritional science. So that focus relies on gut microbiome balance, the accessory organs, taking them out of inflammation. So that way enzyme production, storage, functionality, and release is operating at the level that it should be inside of the body. Mineral restoration, and plant-based eating, as well as hydration. So many people are dehydrated, they don't drink enough water. And, if you ever see these people walking around with, legs bigger than their upper body, it's because they don't drink enough water, and they haven't drank enough water. And so I deal with chronically sick people. And, when you look at the statistics, you have approximately, and I'm sure that the number has grown, but the last time I looked, 50% of Americans are overweight or obese. And with that comes multiple comorbidities like diabetes, constipation, and all of those things eventually will lead to cancer. And colorectal cancer is just skyrocketing on the statistics chart, and it's because there's toxins in the food, water, personal care products like deodorant. So it's everybody's exposed to the same stuff. Everybody's eating the same stuff. Everybody's showering in contaminated water. Everybody has heavy metals. Everybody has candida overgrowth because they're eating trash food. 80% of Americans have parasites and they don't even know it. Their pets have parasites. I was talking to somebody recently, and I had mentioned, pets dragging their butt across the carpet, and she's like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, usually it's parasites. And I said, and then you're walking on the carpet. Because she was like, how did I get parasites? And so, it's really kind of interesting to see that most people don't know about any of these issues. Most people don't know where to look unless they see something like on TikTok or Instagram, which I'm on both. So I get a lot of questions where people are like, I didn't know that diarrhea was a symptom of parasites, or I didn't know that constipation and bloating were a symptom of candida overgrowth. So I do a lot of virtual. I'm also a certified live blood analyst. So, I can take a drop of blood and it goes between two microscope slides, and it goes live on a computer screen, and we can actually see real time how well you're digesting proteins, fats, and sugars, the presence of uric acid crystals, parasites, candida, key mineral deficiencies, things like that. And then from there, I'm able to make recommendations. Everybody I don't think there's one person that needed the same thing, right?
Of course not.
So right. So it's one of those things where I make supplement recommendations, and then I
Uh-huh.
have guides
Mm.
that I provide to people, and to kind of help them move through. And then if people want
Ah.
additional coaching with me,
Uh-huh.
they can do that as well. And some people I need the hand holding, right? They need
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
guidance. They need um, the hey, go this way, and
Yeah.
and don't stop. So um, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because I'm always amazed that there are so many people who are just totally unaware of any of the things that you've mentioned, right? That there's anything wrong with all the food they've been eating, with the sugar, with the wheat, um, you know, with the with everything that's, I mean, not even just doing organic can help with so many people, at least as a starting place on your own,
Yeah, you don't have to
right?
do everything at once, but some of these
No.
people are chronically sick and they can't get out of
Yeah.
bed. Like, I mean, is it
Hmm.
they need a lot at once, because they're you have to understand, when they're chronically sick, they're not absorbing food, water, or medications.
Right.
So like, I
Yeah.
mean, you really have to do a lot more, add supplements in, digestive enzymes, probiotics,
Hmm.
prebiotics, plant-based proteins, to be able to help get you to a place where
Yes.
you start to feel better. But yeah, I agree. Most people don't know. Most people, uh, they are, like you mentioned, addicted. They're
Hmm.
addicted to processed sugar. They're addicted to the food.
Hmm.
And I would go out on a limb and say that the biggest addiction problem in this country is not a drug problem. It is not anything related to alcohol. It is processed sugar.
Hmm.
That is the biggest addiction in America, and we don't talk about it. We
No.
don't put it in a context for people. We don't do anything like that. And so
Right.
many people are influenced by media. So it's one of those situations where
Yeah.
if the media is not talking about it, then you're not hearing about it, and it doesn't exist, right?
Hmm. Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. And the media, excuse me, the media absolutely is supporting it. I mean, they're the ones who are getting all the money from the ads that are on the television stations and the radio stations and all of that sort of thing. So it's kind of like, why would they bite the hand that's feeding them?
Right.
Um,
Well, there's like six or seven huge corporate conglomerates that have
mhm.
a food arm, a finance arm, a medical arm. So they all feed each other.
Oh yeah.
And then, it's like, well, we got to keep people sick. I mean, if people think that these conglomerates are not intentionally poisoning the population, then wake up, because there is an agenda in place to keep you sick,
Mm.
keep you on
Mhm.
medication, get you
Mhm.
into surgeries and things like that,
Mm.
so that way they can continue profit.
Mhm. Yeah. 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 No, I totally agree. I totally agree. And there's even some of them that aren't even aware that that's what it is that they're doing. They're just trying to make money, right? So it's just, sometimes I'm not sure if that's better or worse, but we won't go down that road. um, so yeah, and and I was just seeing up on your um, don't even know what they're called anymore. uh, Thing with all the topics and stuff that talking about obesity, which you mentioned already. I'm just amazed at how much worse it's gotten over like the last 20 years.
Well, you have Yeah, I think it, it started in the 70s,
Hmm.
where you had all these canned goods and microwave
Yeah.
dinners, and it just progressively got worse for people because there there's more additives
Uh-huh.
to these foods, like dyes, which are horrible for the
Oh
body.
my God. Yeah.
Um, so um, it's one of those things where it's like, these people have been eating like trash since they were born.
Yeah.
And like, again, it's an addiction. And every decade that somebody has been eating like trash, it's one whole year of detox. Like when people are like, oh, I just need one supplement. No, you don't. You need to be on supplements for anywhere from 60 to 90 to a full year,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
you have the other aspect of the equation, which is 30 to 40% of the population has an MTHFR defect.
Mm.
That's our detox gene. So, if somebody's got one or a double defect with that gene, their body's not detoxing properly. Their enzyme functionality is completely off. They're in inflammation because their homocysteine levels are so high that the body can't regulate them.
Hmm.
So, you have these people who don't anything, and they just know that they feel bad. So
Yeah.
like I always tell people, I'm like, there's not a lot of people are like, who does what you do. I have figured all this out on my own. Like, I mean, I was diagnosed with back-to-back HIV and cancer, and the doctors weren't helping me. The doctors were basically like, you got to find somebody in the holistic field. I couldn't find anybody, so I just did it on my own.
Mm.
um After I was given a link to the audiobook The Power by Rhonda Byrne,
Uh-huh.
and she is the author of The Secret.
Hmm.
She was featured on Oprah when Oprah used to be on TV.
Yeah.
So it was like, after listening to that book, it was like everything in what was going on in my life made sense and inside of my body. So,
Yeah.
my own personal story and experience is based off the protocols that I offer to people. So the plant-based eating, the rehydration with higher pH water,
Mm.
detox activities like lymphatic drainage, ionic detox foot baths, infrared saunas, um, plant-based eating or vegan eating, and those are not the same because sometimes it, the other thing too is that humans are herbivores. We have the digestive system of herbivores. We are not carnivores. We are not omnivores. Okay. Um, Lions, tigers, and bears are carnivores. We don't have the same digestive system, so they can readily digest meat.
Mm.
We can't. So, I mean, and not that they don't eat grass, but they don't eat a lot. And when they
Uh-huh.
do, they're not eating anything for 3 days because it takes 3 days to get through their digestive tract.
Okay.
So it's the same thing for us.
Uh-huh.
Meat will sit there and rot in our digestive system for 3 days, and most Americans
Wow.
are eating meat with each meal,
Yeah.
breakfast, lunch, dinner. So it's one of those things where you have the genetic defect issues. 30 to 40% of the population has that genetic defect,
Hmm.
and then you have Americans who don't know how to eat for their body. You know, we should be eating 4 to 6 servings of raw fruits, 4 to 6 servings of raw vegetables, 1 to 2 servings of nuts and seeds every single day, plus like a reasonable dinner. And we don't need meat every single day. I mean, if you want to eat meat, it should be a lean meat like chicken, turkey, salmon, something like that.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times a week. You don't
Ah.
need that much meat, America. So wake up and start eating for your body.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. No, and that makes a lot of sense. What about things like milk, which isn't meat? Is that
Horrible.
okay?
That milk, and we're talking about what, cow's milk?
Well, that's what most people have. Personally, I can't do anything from a cow, so I'm safe on that bit. But I do goat milk. goat milk, cheddar cheese, and stuff like that.
Goat milk has a similar molecular structure to that of human breast milk, so that's why
Okay.
it's more easily metabolized inside of the body. Cow milk is for
cows.
cows.
Yeah.
So it has nothing. I mean, it creates a mucus inside of the body, which candida and other salivary feed within. So you see all these people out here who are hacking up lungs and stuff. It's because they have mucus in their body, and a lot of times once people start detoxing, they have a lot of mucus that comes out in their bowels. So yeah, I mean, you should be avoiding dairy products and processed sugar, breads, unless it's like whole grain or whole wheat. But unfortunately, most people eat white bread. So, and of course that converts to a sugar, and pastas too, which converts to sugar. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I totally agree. I've been allergic to wheat. Boy, can't even think how many years. The end of the 80s. So I haven't.
Well, a lot of people have food allergies, and they don't know why, and it's because they're eating the same foods.
Yeah, all the time, like every day. Yeah. No, that's yeah, it's so interesting, I guess, just because I'm older, right? I've seen a lot of changes in what people eat, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse. I don't see it. I don't see it looking back. I don't see it being any better than it was when I was growing up. So it's something that I think it's a message that needs to get out there. How I'm not sure that you and I on our own can do it, but we can do the best we can, right? To spread the word, but it's kind of limited, unfortunately. And I also think that a lot of times it's only when people start getting sick that they reach out and really try and find any of these answers, like finding you.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, so depressing. Anyways, so let's see, which you mentioned already, the blood analysis. What does that entail, so people can get a little better feel for? We don't need to get into the weeds, but
well, like I mentioned, it's taking a drop of blood going between two microscope slides and then going live on a computer screen. So, and then I identify what's happening and what's not happening. But I also do DNA swab testing for the MTHFR test. So people can go to my website, detoxdayspa.com, and they can order that test, and then I can send that to them. They'll complete the instructions and the swab and send it back to me, and then I'll send it off to my lab. And then it takes 7 to 14 days. They get a 20-page report that goes through all aspects of their genetic markers for inflammation, MTHFR, oxidative stress, insulin levels, things like that. So those are really the kind of the two assessment tools that I use for people. I actually in the process of getting certified for earderology, which is reading eyes to be able to determine what people's level of toxicity is. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you want to be able to offer people a number of different assessment tools. So that's kind of my goal. As I've been doing this for several years, but that's been my goal, is to be able to give people different options, and and really that's what people want anyways. They don't want a strict assessment and program protocol recommendations. They want flexibility. So like you said earlier, you you don't have to start all at the same pace as somebody else. I mean, even if some of these people just start with plant-based eating and cut back on their meat intake. But yeah, I offer, a number of different options for people on my website. I also have a online supplement store, so people can purchase digestive enzymes and plant protein and probiotics and things like that from my website directly.
Okay. So I assume you're associated with somebody who's creating those, for you, manufacturing, whatever you want to call it, the supplements.
I am a reseller. I'm not I only deal with companies that are whole food, plant-based, cold pressed. A lot of the supplements on the market are heat pressed, so they're ineffective. And so the difference is really, for Americans, it comes down to what's the price difference. For the trash supplements that you're going to see in some of these stores, you're paying around $20-$30. You're going to be paying double that for the whole food cold pressed supplements that are either enzymes in and of themselves or have enzyme delivery systems, because you're going to get the manufacturing process is more detailed. You're going to get more of a value and impact by taking those. So a lot of things, and then there's the other thing too is synthetic level fill in the cheap supplements like limestone, which our body cannot digest, and it causes problems in the liver and the kidneys. So because our body can't digest it, so people, that is one cause or contributing factor to kidney stones. So
it makes sense.
And then the other thing too that is as a result of eating horrible and the result turns into uric acid crystals, which you can see in the blood analysis.
Interesting. Yeah, it's I think going along with what you were saying is that there's a lot of companies that have been jumping into the supplement industry just because it's become so popular, and they're not really concerned with doing the right thing, should I say, or creating supplements that are actually valuable to people. They're more interested in just the amount of money they can make.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a pretty accurate statement.
Yeah. Well, it's no different than the food supply, so right. Yeah. So what? Looking at it back on your topics and questions, there's so many that are so interesting. Excuse me. That's interesting. Okay. So question on here you have is, what's the one supplement that someone can take that covers all the basics on a daily basis? Is there one?
Well, there is actually. It's on my website. It's on my website. Go to detoxdayspa.com and click on supplements, the supplement store button. And from the cleanses, you want to scroll down to plant protein. Click on that, and then there is 3 options for Greens First Pro. Now you can only get it through a certified health practitioner, which I am. So that contains, and chocolate's the best. I mean, berries okay, but you really have to kind of blend it with other berries and almond milk or coconut water. But the chocolate really tastes the best. I mean, it is good. I mean, this is, you taste a lot of plant proteins out there that are, they're just like, I don't like the taste of that. It tastes like greens. So, you get 54 different superfoods. You get probiotics with prebiotics. You get a strong digestive enzyme blend. So, you know, you do that in the morning, and it really just helps to move the bowels, and it helps to provide the energy that the body needs throughout the day. But I would say that's, you know, that's your all-in-one. That's kind of everything that you're going to need. And again, you can go to detoxdayspa.com, hit the supplement store link, and then from the cleanses menu, click on plant-based protein. And if you subscribe, you save every single month. That's something that you're going to need on an ongoing basis. And it's basically a smoothie that you make for yourself every single day. You don't have to take any pills. You drink your supplements, and then again, it tastes great.
Okay, so it's the plant-based protein on the right? Is that the and then it says six products. Are they different or for different things, or they're all just kind of like the different flavors?
No, the plant-based protein is the Pro. The Greens First Pro is the only one that has the 54 superfoods, the enzyme blend, and the probiotic and prebiotics. So the other ones are a protein, but they don't have those other ingredients.
Oh, I see. Okay. But then otherwise these are just flavors, really. I mean, you've got mint and chocolate and berry, right?
Well, the mint, chocolate, and berry are the Pro. So again, you're going to get the 54 superfoods, the enzymes, and the probiotics and prebiotics. The other ones are for people who, you know, if they have a problem gaining weight, but they are vegan or plant-based, then those are options for them to be able to purchase and implement it to their daily routine.
Interesting. Okay, I'll have to go back and look at these after we get done. Be interesting. So okay, so that's so you also have on your suggested questions, which I thought was kind of interesting, is what's ideal eating for your body on a daily basis? So is there something that's kind of a basic and then everybody kind of builds on that, or? Well,
like I mentioned before, you know, 4 to 6 servings of raw fruit, 4 to 6 servings of raw vegetables, 1 to 2 servings of nuts and seeds, and then a reasonable dinner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wasn't sure if that was the same thing.
Well, that's what our body requires. So, you know, a lot of fruits and vegetables naturally contain enzymes. So if we're not eating what we need to eat, then our bodies are not going to work properly. The organs aren't going to work properly. That our body need to, and enzymes are, I don't know, most people probably don't know what enzymes are. Enzymes are the metabolic catalysts on the cellular level. They are the key that get the car started to all of the biochemical processes that occur inside of the body every single day. And they require a mineral cofactor like magnesium, iron, selenium, etc.
Okay. So, is it best to change up what you're eating, instead of eating the exact same fruits and vegetables every single day, or?
Well, that's up to people, different fruits and, contain different nutrients and minerals and things like that. So, of course, nobody's going to, eat the same fruits and vegetables every single day. People like variety, but as long as you're getting the 4 to 6 servings of fruit and vegetables and 1 to 2 servings of nuts and seeds, that's I think the biggest thing.
Okay. I was just curious because sometimes in some things they say, well, if you keep eating the same thing every time, you're not getting a good enough variety because they all are a little bit different and provide different things. So that's why I was curious. Then there's people like me who I tend to just eat the same thing every day. So was just curious whether that was the wrong thing to do, or it just doesn't matter.
It's not that it doesn't matter. I think,
Okay.
like, you got about 50% of Americans who are eating fast food for breakfast in the
Well,
morning.
yeah.
So, I mean, if, like you mentioned earlier,
If that's where they're starting from, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you just decide to, do an apple and an orange in the morning, like, you're putting yourself ahead of the game.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I was actually coming to it from a very personal point of view. So that's the fun of being the host on here, is I can ask questions about things that just apply to me, or maybe a couple of other people that are listening. But okay, so I don't know, there's just so many interesting things on here that you deal with, and but I think we've been on now for a while, and what would you, I know you've made a couple of suggestions for people, some of the tests and things like that they can do and they can get on your website. Is there something else? Is there a place on your website that would just take them and say, hey, if you're brand new here, these are the things that you ought to consider doing?
Not really. I mean,
No?
I've got some blogs and things like that, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody's different. I mean, really, the thing is, like I said, the plant-based eating, the 4 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables, 1 to 2 servings of nuts and seeds. But I always encourage people, you can go to my website, detoxdayspot.com, and they can schedule a consultation with me. I mean, and then,
Okay.
we can have a conversation, or if they're in South Florida, they can book a live blood analysis with me. But it really comes down to or they can order the DNA swab test. But it really comes down to, I need an assessment to be able to make specific recommendations for people, and the protocols that are going to probably work best for their body.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, obviously, we all know that the same thing doesn't help everybody. There are certain general things, but when you get down into the details, everyone's life is different, and so that makes a lot of sense. So, okay, well, I will for sure put the link to the website into the show notes for everybody. And I don't know, is there anything else you'd like to just say to kind of wrap it up, or you've already...
No, I mean, I think that, we covered a lot of information for people, and, if they're interested in working with me, like, they can go to my website and, schedule a consultation and, take it from there.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. That's easy enough. So let me thank you for coming on and talking about this. It's not something that there are that many people, I don't think, are doing in the same way that you're doing it, which to me seems to be very approachable and straightforward if people are having problems, because I think it's really important that people do reach out and get some support in some of these things, because otherwise you just end up getting sicker and sicker, from my own personal experience. So let me wrap up and finish with my usual, which is that neither of us are medical professionals. This is not to be seen as medical advice. And if you are having some issues that are totally interfering with your life, please go and see a medical professional. You can also go and go to the Detox Day Spa and see, if there's anything on there that can help you. And if you're having some sort of an emergency, please go to the emergency room and get the help that you need. So with that, I will say thank you, and I will see everybody next week.
This has been Healthy Tips After 50 with Susan Rosen. To stay on the cutting edge of the most effective health strategies, subscribe to this podcast and let us know what you thought of the show with a comment or like on iTunes. Visit healthytipsafter50.com for this episode's show notes, more resources, and free offers.